Greetings, dear listeners, and welcome to the official A Warning to the Curious Book Club. Today, we will be discussing At the Mountains of Madness. At the Mountains of Madness by H.P. Lovecraft. I first read At the Mountains of Madness on a lovely spring evening back in 1974. I'd picked the book up at a library on the other side of town and had enjoyed a walk of several miles. I still remember the details of that stroll like it was yesterday. The weather was unusually warm, but once at home, I found myself traveling to the frigid climes of Antarctica. The frigid climes of Antarctica and the Hyperborean and forbidding Mountains of Madness. Since then, I have read the novel, or novelette, take your choice, half a dozen times, so it's hard for me to recapture my initial reaction to the book, but I do recall being captivated and unable to put it down. I think I finished it that evening, and I'm not a quick reader. But subsequent readings have allowed me to view the novel with a more critical eye. I hope. In order to keep my remarks on point, let's focus on the questions I initially posted in my introductory video at the Mountains of Madness Book Club Update. The 5 questions are as follows. Question 1. Did you like the novel? Rate it on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being excellent, 1 being poor. Question 2. What did you like best about the novel? Least. 3. What frightened you the most in this novel? What did you find to be the scariest scene? 4. Did you find the old ones to be terrifying monsters? Or did you have some sympathy for them? Some sympathy. Boy, I have trouble saying that word. Some sympathy for them. 5. What is your reading of the novel's ending? And finally, question 6. Was this Lovecraft's greatest work? If you answered no, which Lovecraft work do you think is superior? We'll start with question 2. What did you like best about the novel? I liked the first half of the novel best. I've always been into polar exploration, so I was immediately sucked into the account of the Miskatonic University expedition, and I enjoyed the wealth of detail. Lovecraft does a skillful job of introducing the increasingly strange, and ominous details. The discovery of the weird soapstone fragments. The discovery of the enormous mountain range, a mountain range higher than the Himalayas. The discovery of the cave filled with the remains from various geological eras, and then the discovery of the old ones. The slow but steady unfolding of these various incidents piques the reader's interest. And you know, that Lake's decision to dissect one of the specimens is bound to end in disaster. It's bound to. As a reader, I had a tough time visualizing from Lake's description exactly what the old ones look like. But that's just me. I have a poor visual sense. But in any event, it was obvious they had an unearthly appearance. Now, when I think of suspense writers, I don't think of H.P. Lovecraft, but again, he does a masterful job of building the tension when Dyer is unable to contact Lake by wireless and flies to his camp and is confronted by the atrocity they discover there, which is truly shocking and marks the novel's first dramatic climax. To me, this first section of the novel was the best, and while the rest of the story details the discovery of the Old One's abandoned and forbidding city, for me, the narrative got bogged down by the very detailed description of the Old One's civilization and its history. This section is important in explicating the history behind the Cthulhu mythos. The Cthulhu mythos. That's almost as hard to say as sympathy. Never mind. The Cthulhu mythos. But after the climax of the discovery of the slaughter at Lake's camp and the second climax of the discovery of the abandoned city, I found this section tended to drag. And what is it with Lovecraft heroes always going into caves and underground places? I mean, would any normal human being have kept exploring the darkened corridors of the subterranean city after discovering the remains of Gedney and the dog, and then the exterminated bodies of the old ones? Nope. 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 For me, the first part of the novel is driven by action and incident, and to me was more effective than those sections powered strictly by narrative description. I'd now like to explore the third question. What frightened you the most in this novel? What did you find to be the scariest scene? To me, the answer's simple. The scene where Dyer and Danforth are pursued by the Shoggoth, leading Danforth to recite the names of the various Boston Underground stations. That shook me on my initial reading, and it's the scene I automatically think of when I think of the novel. But was I the only one screaming, "Get out of there! Get out of there!" when they discovered the slain old ones? Oh, those Lovecraft protagonists. The tension due to their obvious peril adds to the effectiveness of the scene. But what did you think was the scariest scene, dear listener? Next question, number 4. Did you find the old ones to be terrifying monsters, or did you have some sympathy for them? Hey, I got it that time. Some sympathy for the old ones. Lovecraft has Dyer say the following, and I quote, "Poor devils! After all, they were not evil things of their kind. They were the men of another age and another order of being." Later, Dyer says, "Radiates, vegetables, monstrosities, star spawn, whatever they had been, they were men." I have a friend who was impressed by those lines and views the old ones as men. Not me. To me, they are scary, unearthly monsters, super creeps, and as terrifying as the Shoggoths. Guess I'm more human than logical. Question 5. What is your reading of the novel's ending? I must admit, I've always found the ending of this novel to be obscure. Just what is it that Danforth sees? Danforth, like the avenue. Just what is it that Danforth sees? According to the Wikipedia article on At the Mountains of Madness, the murals also allude to an unnamed evil lurking within an even larger mountain range located beyond the city. This mountain range rose in one night, and certain phenomena and incidents deterred the elder things from exploring it. Later, the same article states, aboard the plane, high above the plateau, Danforth looks back and sees something that causes him to lose his own sanity, implied to be the unnamed evil itself. Now I get that, and I understand it. I think my problem with the ending is that it lacks the emotional punch of the Shoggoth pursuit scene. I don't think I was able to get that scene out of my head during earlier readings, and so I mentally glossed over the conclusion. What do you think? I do think Lovecraft often drew out his endings a bit too long, making them less effective. P.S. I found the following note in the Penguin Horror edition of The Thing on the Doorstep and Other Weird Stories, edited with an introduction and notes by S.T. Yoshi. Series editor Guillermo del Toro. Note 111 on page 492 states, the following fragmentary utterances by Danforth were intended by HPL to be vague and inconclusive, so as to end the novel on a note of portentous mystery. Later, the same note quotes a letter from Lovecraft to August Derleth, which states, in my tale, the Shoggoth provides a concrete and tangible climax, and what I wish to add was merely a vague hint of further spiritual horrors. So no wonder I've always found the ending a bit vague. Guess I'm not as stupid as I thought. So, is At the Mountains of Madness Lovecraft's greatest work? In some ways it is, as it is his most detailed explication of the Cthulhu mythos. But it slows down in the middle, and for me, the ending falls flat. My own personal favorite is The Shadow over Innsmouth, with its creation of a benighted city and the pursuit of the protagonist by the Innsmouth people. To me, it is Lovecraft's most exciting and suspenseful story, and with a surprise twist ending to boot. But then again, did Lovecraft ever top that masterpiece, The Picture in the House? My rating? 4.5. Or maybe 4.75. Great, but not perfect. So, what's your rating, dear listeners? If this is your first visit to my channel, please consider subscribing. My name is Warren, and I write and tell original ghost stories and original horror stories featuring such cryptids as the Night Floaters, werewolves, and the Black-Eyed Children. So again, please consider subscribing. Please help me to reach my goal of 2,021 subs in 2021. Till midnight. Tally-ho! So, what are we going to read next?